Yong Ye Chapter 6 1. 子曰：庸也可使难面。 Confucius, once expressing admiration for a disciple, remarked, There is young, he should be made a prince. 仲公问子桑伯子，子曰：可也简。仲公曰：居敬而行简，以临其民，不亦可乎？居简而行简，吾乃大简乎？子曰：庸之言然。 On another occasion, when that disciple asked Confucius' opinion of a certain public character of the time, Confucius answered, He is a good man, he is independent. But, replied the disciple, when a man in his private life is serious with himself, he may, in his public life, be independent in dealing with the people. But to be independent with himself in his private life as well as independent in his public life, is there not too much independence in that? Yes, answered Confucius, you are right. Footnote 23. It is recorded of this character that he would strip himself, as many Chinese now do in summer, which led Confucius to say, that is the way to lead men to forget the difference between a man and a beast. 2. 哀公问弟子孰为好学？孔子对曰：有颜回者好学，不迁怒，不贰过，不幸短命死矣。今也则亡，未闻好学者也。 The reigning prince of Confucius' native state asked him which one of his disciples he considered a man of real culture. Confucius answered, there was Yan Hui. He never made others suffer for his own annoyances. He never did a wrong thing twice. But unfortunately, he died in the prime of his life. Now there is no one, none who can be said to be a man of real culture. 3. 子华始于齐，然子为其母请诉。子曰：与之服。请义。曰：与之与。然子与之素无柄。子曰：赤之是其也，乘肥马，衣轻裘，吾闻之也。君子周及不继父。 On one occasion, when a disciple of Confucius was sent on a public mission to a foreign state, he left his mother at home unprovided for. Another disciple then asked Confucius to provide her with grain. Give her, said Confucius, so much, naming a certain quantity. The disciple asked for more. Confucius then named a larger quantity. Finally, the disciple gave her a larger quantity than the quantity which Confucius named. When Confucius came to know of it, he remarked, when that woman's son left on his mission, he drove in a carriage with fine horses and was clothed with costly furs. Now I believe a wise and good man reserves his charity for the really needy. He does not help the well-to-do and rich. 原思为之宰，与之粟900，此。子曰：吾以鱼而邻里相党乎？ On another occasion, when another disciple was appointed the chief magistrate of a town, Confucius appointed his salary at 900 measures of grain. The disciple declined it as being too much. Do not decline it, said Confucius to him, if that is more than necessary for your own wants. Cannot you share what you do not want with your relatives and neighbors at home? 4. 子谓仲公曰：犁牛之子兴且角，虽与物用，山川其舍诸。 Confucius remarked of a disciple whose father was a notoriously bad man, saying, The calf of a brindled cow, provided it be well conditioned, although men may hesitate to use it in sacrifice, is yet not unacceptable to the spirits of the land. 5. 季康子问：仲由可使从政也与？子曰：由也果，与从政乎何有？曰：次也可使从政也与？曰：次也达。 与从政乎何有？曰：求也可使从政也与？曰：求也义。与从政乎何有？ A minister who was in power in Confucius' native state asked him if his disciple, the intrepid Chang Yu, could be made a minister under the government. He is man of decision, answered Confucius. What is there in being a minister under the government that he should find any difficulty in it? The minister then put the same question with regard to another disciple. He is a man of great penetration, answered Confucius. What is there in being a minister that he should find any difficulty in it? The minister then went on to ask the same question about another disciple. He is a man of many accomplishments, answered Confucius. What is there in being a minister that he should find any difficulty in it? Editor's note: it seemed to appear that there was a slight discrepancy in order of the verses in Ku's version. This verse should have come after the next one, according to Wikipedia's version. 6. 子曰：回也，其心3月不为人，其余则日月至焉而已矣。 Confucius remarked of his disciple, the favorite Yang Hui, saying, 4 months he could live without deviating from a pure moral life in thought as in deed. With other people, the utmost is a question of a day or a month. 7. 既是使民子谦为废宰，民子谦曰：善为我辞言。如有负我者，则吾必再问上矣。 A minister in power in Confucius' native state sent for a disciple of Confucius to make him the chief magistrate of an important town. Politely declined the offer for me, said the disciple to the messenger sent to him, and if your master again should send for me, I shall have to leave the country altogether. 8. 伯牛有疾，子问之，自有执其手，曰：王之，命以服。斯人也而有斯己也，斯人也而有斯己也。 On one occasion, when a disciple was sick with an infectious disease, Confucius went to see him. Confucius, however, did not enter the house, but, taking the sick man's hands from outside the window, made him his last adieus. Confucius was then heard to say, we shall lose him, but God's will be done. At the same time he went on repeating, that such a man should die of such a sickness. That such a man should die of such a sickness. 9. 子曰：贤哉回也！一箪食，一瓢饮，在陋巷。人不堪其忧，回也不改其乐。贤哉回也！ Confucius remarked of his disciple, the favorite Yang Hui, saying, how much heroism is in that man! Living on one single meal a day, with water for his drink, and living in the lowest hovels of the city, no man could have stood such hardships, yet he did not lose his cheerfulness. How much heroism is in that man! 10. 冉求曰：非不说子之道，力不足也。子曰：力不足者，中道而废。金女话。 A disciple once said to Confucius, it is not because I do not believe in your teaching, but I want the strength to carry it out into practice. Those, answered Confucius, who only want the necessary strength, show it when they are on the way. But you stick at it from the outset altogether. 11. 子谓子夏曰：女为君子如，吾为小人如。 Confucius said to a disciple, be a good and wise man while you try to be an encyclopedic man of culture. Be not a fool while you try to be an encyclopedic man of culture. Footnote 24. Literally a humanist, the term now used for Confucius and Confucianism. The aim in education, says Comenius, is to teach him everything which is necessary to enable him to attain to what a human being can attain to. 12. 子游为五成宰。子曰：女得人焉耳乎？曰：有澹台灭明者，行不由径，非公事，未尝之于眼之事也。 On one occasion, when a disciple was appointed chief magistrate of an important town, Confucius said to him, have you succeeded in getting the good man under you? Yes, answered the disciple. I am now a man who would never act upon expediency. He never comes to see me in my house except when there is urgent public business to be done. 13. 子曰：孟之反不伐，奔而殿。将入门，策其马，曰：非敢后也，马不进也。 Confucius remarked of a chivalrous public character of the time, saying, "He was a man who never would boast." On one occasion, when the troops among whom he was took to flight, he slowly brought up the rear, and when they had approached the city gate to which they were retreating, he whipped his horse and was the last man to enter the gate, remarking simply, "It was not courage which kept me behind, but you see my horse would not go." 14. 子曰：不由诸陀之佞，而有宋朝之美，难乎免于今之事矣。 Confucius, referring to two noted characters of his time, remarked, "A man who has not the wit of that person, the Sydney Smith of the time, and the fine appearance of that noble lord, the Lord Chesterfield of the time, will never get on in society now." 15. 子曰：谁能出不由户？何莫由私道也？ Confucius remarked, "Who can get out of the house except through the door? How is it that men do not know that one cannot live except through the way?" Footnote 25, sign via non-liter. 16. 子曰：至圣文则也，文圣至则始。文质彬彬，然后君子。 Confucius remarked, "When the natural qualities of men get the better of the results of education, they are rude men. When the results of education get the better of their natural qualities, they become literati. It is only when the natural qualities and the results of education are properly blended that we have the truly wise and good man." 17. 子曰：人之生也直，往之生也幸而免。 Confucius remarked, "Man is born to be upright. When a man ceases to be that, it is by the merest chance that he can keep himself alive." 18. 子曰：知之者不如好之者，好之者不如乐之者。 Confucius remarked, "Those who know it are not as those who love it. Those who love it are not as those who find their joy in it." Footnote 26. This is the difference between a moralist, a philosopher, and a real man of religion. 19. 子曰：中人以上，可以与上也；中人以下，不可以与上也。 Confucius remarked, "You may speak of high things to those who in natural qualities of mind are above average men. You may not speak to those who in natural qualities of mind are below average men." 20. 樊迟问之。子曰：物民之义，敬鬼神而远之，可谓知矣。问仁。曰：仁者先难而后获，可谓仁矣。A disciple inquired what constituted understanding. Confucius answered, "To know the essential duties of man living in a society of men, and to hold in awe and fear the spiritual powers of the universe, while keeping aloof from irreverent familiarity with them. That may be considered as understanding." The disciple then asked what constituted a moral life. Confucius answered, "A man who wants to live a moral life must first be conscious within himself of a difficulty and has struggled to overcome the difficulty. That is the definition or test of a moral life." 21. 子曰：知者乐水，仁者乐山；知者动，仁者静；知者乐，仁者寿。 Confucius remarked, "Men of intellectual character delight in water scenery. Men of moral character delight in mountain scenery. Intellectual men are active. Moral men are calm. Intellectual men enjoy life. Moral men lie long." 22. 子曰：其一变，至于鲁；鲁一变，至于道。 Confucius, referring to the state of government in his native state and that in a neighboring state, remarked, if she would only reform, she would have as good a government as Lu, Confucius' native state, and if Lu would only reform, she would have a perfect government. Footnote 27. An Englishman would perhaps say the France of ancient feudal China, noted for chivalry, disinterestedness and love of ideas in the character of her people, but at Confucius' time, given too much over to false liberalism. Lu, Confucius' native state, was perhaps the England or Great Britain of ancient China, noted for love of morality and common sense in the character of her people, but ineptness for ideas which made them rather utilitarian in their politics and government. Both states were in the modern province of Shencheng on the seacoast. 23. 子曰：孤不孤，孤哉！孤哉！ Confucius was once heard to exclaim, "A goblet that is not globular. Why call it a goblet? Why call it a goblet?" Footnote 28, referring to an article of common use then which had become a misnomer into many things, especially many kinds of ism and uses on Confucius' time which had also become misnomers. 24. 宰我问曰：仁者虽告之曰：井有人焉，其从之也。子曰：何谓其然也？君子可视也，不可陷也；可欺也，不可亡也。A disciple of Confucius once said to him, "A moral man, if somebody told him that there was a man fallen into a well, I suppose he would immediately follow into the well. Why should he?" Replied Confucius, "A good and wise man might be led to hurry to the scene, but not to plunge into the well. He could be imposed upon, but not made a fool." 25. 子曰：君子博学于文，约之以礼，亦可以服判一服。Confucius remarked, "A good man who studies extensively into the arts and literature, and directs his studies with judgment and taste, is not likely to get into a wrong track." 26. 子见男子，子路不说。夫子使之曰：予所否者，天厌之。天厌之。On one occasion, when Confucius allowed himself to be presented to a princess of a state who was notorious for the irregularities of her life, his disciple, the intrepid Yu, was vexed. Confucius then swore an oath, saying, "If I have had an unworthy motive in doing that, may God forsake me forever." 27. 子曰：中庸之为德也，其志矣乎！民先久矣。Confucius remarked, "The use of the moral sentiment, well balanced and kept in perfect equilibrium, that is the true state of human perfection. It is seldom found long so kept up amongst men." 28. 子贡曰：如有博施于民，而能济众，何如？可谓仁乎？子曰：何施于人，必也胜乎？尧舜其犹并诸。A disciple once said to Confucius, "If there is a man who carries out extensively good works for the welfare of the people and is really able to benefit the multitude, what would you say of such a man? Could he be called a moral character?" "Why call him only a moral character?" answered Confucius. "If one must call such a man by a name, one would call him a holy or a saint and mean. 4. Judge by the works of which you speak. Even the ancient emperors Yo and Shun felt their shortcomings." Footnote 29. The Abraham and Isaac in patriarchal times of Chinese history. Mencius, making use of these names to illustrate his teaching, say, "A man rises early every morning and works persistently all day long. For what? For righteousness. Then he is a son of Abraham, Shun. Another man also rises early every morning and works persistently all day long. For what? For gain. Then he is a son of Barabbas the robber." 导直 29. 夫仁者，己欲立而立人，己欲达而达人。能进取辟，可谓人之方也矣。Confucius remarked, "A moral man in forming his character forms the character of others. In enlightening himself, he enlightens others. It is a good method in attaining a moral life, if one is able to consider how one would see things and act if placed in the position of others."